All right, fellas, we are unorganized as hell right now. Danny's catching up on some things, and then he'll be in here shortly. But for the time being, I will be flying solo right now. Of course, welcome to Thursday Night Football. Welcome to Week 6. Got some major injuries this past week in the world of fantasy football, so I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to be getting real gritty, real disgusting with some of your start-sit decisions. Juan says, "What's good, boys? How's y'all's day going?" Just me for the time being. Danny will be in here shortly, but I'm doing good. What's going on? What's going on? We got Atomic Juice first question here in the chat. He says, PPR, I need my wide receiver 2. Chases is wide receiver 1. 2 running backs and a flex. Waddle, Amon-Ra, Nico. I would probably go with Amon-Ra. Okay, hold on. 2 running backs and a flex. I'm stunned here. Okay, so your running backs are going to be Swift and Mostert. Oof, that's close, man. Montgomery and Mostert is pretty close. Which ones do I actually have ranked higher of that group? So I have, I actually have Montgomery and Mostert the highest, but I really want to get Swift in my lineup, but I'm also not going to sit Amon-Ra either. So I personally would probably go Mostert, Montgomery, and Amon-Ra, but like that's pretty crazy that you have to sit Waddle and Swift here because I really don't want to do that. And I've probably said this already about your team, Atomic, but definitely make sure that you could try and consolidate your assets if you can. If Waddle has a big game and Mostert has a big game or something like that, try and swap the 2 of those guys for like Steph Diggs or something. Get yourself some better starting lineup production. Also, quick note as well. A couple people have reached out saying that they can't access the Dynasty Rankings manifesto on the site. My dumbass made it for only Mother Flocker members in the permissions, but that is being corrected right now. For those of you guys that are Flocker tier subscribers on the site, you'll be able to see that very shortly. That's the devs are working on that for me. So that'll be fixed up pretty soon. Just thought I would let you guys know that that's on the way. What's going on, Danny? What's up?
Too much, not too much.
You're
my,
there.
Here, sorry, my mic should be
Paul,
good
Kamara, Pacheco, Puka, DK need 1 at running back, 1 at flex. So these running backs are interesting. I think I have these guys really, really close.
I have Kamara and Hall the highest. Oh,
sorry, I actually have Pacheco higher than Kamara this week.
My mic is glitching. Sorry. What the fuck? Okay. It keeps going down to the low.
Well, I'll let you figure that out. In the meantime, I will. I have Pacheco the highest of this, but it's him and Kamara are quite close. And then your flex option, I'd probably go with Puka over all of these guys, flex wise. So I would probably go with Kamara and Puka is the safe play, I would say. But Pacheco and Pacheco and Puka is actually what I have ranked the highest.
I did not realize he'd have this many good options. So
try unplugging it and plugging it back in. I don't know. Here, I'll put you in the back seat. You can test it out in the speaker area and see if it's working in there. Andrew says, pick 2 running back. I told you guys we were unorganized today. Pick 2 running backs and 1 flex. Full PPR, Mostert, Pacheco, Hall, Addison, and Nico Collins. So the running backs I'm going with here are Mostert and Pacheco. As much as I like Hall, it's a pretty tough matchup against the Eagles. And then the flex would be between Hall and then the 2 receivers, obviously. Oh, man, that's close. I think I would probably go with the 3 backs.
Mostert. This fucking mic is actually going to make me lose it. I don't know.
All right, well, keep it. Try, Danny. Try going to settings and testing it out in the thing before you hop back in, so you can see if it's working without being interrupted here. So yeah, I personally would go with the 3 backs there. Trevor Lawrence or Sam Howell this week. I'm going Trevor Lawrence there. Sam Howell had a great week last week, but I'm probably going to roll with Trevor Lawrence. Brendan says, if you had to guess, where do Caleb Williams, Marvin Harrison, and Drake May go in a startup? Definitely an interesting question. I would say that with Caleb Williams and for sure, he'll be a first-round pick, 100%. I would imagine he'll be a top 10 pick, most likely.
Be higher,
too.
Dude. He'll be a top 6 to 8 pick, realistically. I think Marvin and Harrison or Marvin Harrison, Marvin and Drake.
I gotta put you back there, dude. All right. Dude, go to settings and test it out and make sure it's working before you hop back in. Okay, well, you're saying you did. Anyways, Marvin and Drake May, those guys will probably be in the mid-second round, I would imagine, give or take. Maybe early second round in a really quarterback-heavy room with Drake May especially. I think he could probably find his way in the early second round. In terms of like wide receiver rankings, I think Harrison will probably find his way inside the top 5, maybe like wide receiver 3 to 5, somewhere in that range, depending on how much your league values youth. But I would say comfortably all 3 of these guys will be top 2-round startup picks. I mean, if Bryce, Anthony Richardson, Bijan Robinson, and then CJ Stroud, all 4 of those guys were inside the top 2 rounds of startups. So I would say for sure those guys will be in the top 2 rounds, if not all of them being in the top 15. He also says in Gabe Davis as well. Gabe Davis probably wouldn't factor into that decision for me. I think I'd still go with the 3 running backs.
Hopefully this doesn't glitch. I don't know what is going on with my mic. But,
keep your hands off the table. Hopefully, just don't nudge it.
I haven't touched anything. Did you do this one?
Yeah. Oh, he said, please do question again. I need wide receiver 2, running back 1, running back 2, and a flex. Okay, so wide receiver 2 is Amon-Ra St. Brown for me in this question. 2 running backs are Mostert and Montgomery, and then the flex would be between Waddle and Swift, and I would go with Waddle personally.
I'd probably agree there. I like you kind of said, Waddle versus Swift is pretty close. So I have Waddle ranked as my wide receiver 12 this week, and I have Swift as my RB9. Baseline, full PPR. Yeah, I'd probably go with the wide receiver.
31 implied points the Dolphins are implied for against the Panthers this week. Like there's a very solid chance that they put up 40, and without A-Chain, maybe they rely a little bit more on the passing game as well. That's a hell of a decision to have there. So let me roll back down to where you're at. Pick 3, full PPR. DJ Moore, Ayuk, Mostert, and Olave.
You're Olave.
Yeah, I'm probably sitting Olave.
Actually, wait, no.
DJ Moore's got such a good matchup.
I have Olave over Ayuk.
I would still play Ayuk over Olave. I trust the offense more. I think it's completely matchup proof, to be honest.
I will say, if there's one defensive scheme that's going to give Shanahan problems and has before, it has been Jim Schwartz in the past. And this is his best personnel grouping that he's had in a while. So I don't want to bet against it because, I mean, like they're all, really good options. But like if I'm going to use any tiebreaker, it would be at Cleveland in this.
Yeah. I mean, for what it's worth, both games environments are not good for fantasy production. I think that that 49ers Browns game is like a 37.5 point over under. Olave's Saints game there is like a 41.5 point over under. Sharps are on the under in both cases. So
yeah,
for me, I'll go with the offense that I trust more and as a tiebreaker, and I'll just take Ayuk. But it's
for
pretty.
Reference,
it's
this is all close.
Decision.
Yeah, was offered Justin Herbert for T-Law and Pacheco. Thoughts?
I would rather have Trevor Lawrence and Pacheco. There's a difference between Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence, but it's not
Pacheco's
as big as Pacheco. Was offered Burrow and Saquon for Trevor Lawrence, Kamara, Puka, and Judy. I could make the argument Puka's the best asset in this deal.
Yes, Puka's been awesome. No.
Yeah, like I don't know if Saquon, man, I want, like, someone actually offered me, let me know what I think I asked you this via the text or whatever. Someone offered me Saquon Barkley and like a biscuit, like Zay Flowers, or like I think he said like Najee Harris would be fine, Jerome Ford, somebody like that. And he wanted Josh Allen and Christian Kirk. And I was like, Saquon's like a top 10 running back rest of the season, but like, do I want to go from watching the Buffalo Bills offense every single week with Josh Allen to watching the New York Giants offense with Saquon Barkley? Like, that's a real factor, man. Like, the week over week floor that Josh Allen provides you, especially in the league format that mine is, where it's all the big plays and the completion bonuses and 300+ yard passing, you get bonuses and stuff like that. Josh Allen is literally a lock for 25 points a game, it feels like. And he has the ability to put up 40 on any given week. And Saquon Barkley's going to have his weeks, but I think, his bad weeks are going to be like 11 points or 8 points. Like, his bad weeks are not going to be, the floor relative to his position that Josh Allen is giving you.
Well, I got a question for you. So, like, if we're ranking Saquon rest of the season, you taking Saquon or Travis Etienne?
I would take Etienne.
Saquon or Pollard?
I would take Pollard.
Saquon or JT?
I would take JT.
This is the real discussion for me.
Saquon or Derrick Henry? Is that what you're about to ask me?
No, I have Derrick Henry actually like sent down to Narnia.
Okay, well, you're just too low on Derrick Henry then.
I don't know. This week scared me too. And I was already.
I know he's going to have games like that, and they're not. He doesn't have the floor he used to have for sure.
I just think he's more of a high-end RB2 at this point of his career.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of like It's kind of like what Joe Mixon, Dalvin Cook, and Alvin Kamara were like molded into as like the tail end of their careers. That's fair for sure. You're gonna ask me Breece Hall or Saquon Barkley? Is that what you're about to ask me?
Well, I was gonna ask you Swift and Walker first.
I would take Barkley over those guys, I think.
I have them like 1 and 2 ahead of them. So that means you probably have Saquon over Breece and Monty.
Yeah, I would take Barkley over those guys.
Okay, because I have them at 9 rest of the season.
Yeah, for sure. I think we had another super here. We got Mystery Man says got offered Olave and Higgins for Puka. I have Chase. I think Olave and Puka are like almost neck and neck for me rest of the season.
That's a lot of value.
Yeah, that's a lot of value to get back. So I probably would take the Olave and Higgins side. Although, like, having Higgins and Chase, it's like whatever. Like, I don't love having that, but it's whatever.
Okay.
You could always just move off of Higgins once he comes back and has a big performance. You could potentially sell him for like Waddle or something like that, or maybe buy low on like Metcalf or something.
Or maybe you can literally just move Chase for like Diggs or Hill in a deal.
Yeah. I'm starting to think, like, I actually saw like Ron put out a video today saying that DK Metcalf was a sell. And I was like, yeah, I'm not really on board with that. I think that Metcalf, more than anything, is actually a buy, because with Metcalf, you're getting a guy that the offense really hasn't turned it on from a passing game standpoint. They've been good on the ground, but they haven't really unlocked it through the air. And I think the bye week could help. And, Metcalf was dealing with a rib injury, so that'll help him get healthy and stuff like that. He's also such a big name too, that I feel like selling him is, could be a decent practice in, more casual leagues. But in sharper leagues, I feel like nobody was buying Metcalf.
I was going to say like sharp leagues, like you would want to move him because, what's it called? Or sharp leagues. This mic is actually just falling apart on me right now.
Yeah, I don't know why that's happening, to be honest. I use an interface. I'll order you one so that you don't have this problem.
I don't like it when my volume gets fucked with randomly on its own. Okay.
Yeah, I've never seen that before. When I use it USB, mine never does that either. So anyways, okay, we got pick one running back and one flex PPR, Hall, Pierce, Roschon, and Addison. I'm going to go with Hall and Addison here probably.
Yeah. This is going to be the biggest surprise. You guys are going to see that on tomorrow's video, but where do you think I have Addison this week?
Probably like top 17.
I have Jordan Addison. Oh, that's the rest of the season. Let me go to weekly. Weekly, I have him as my wide receiver 16 this week.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I have him at 22, and I thought I was high on him.
Dude, if he can get closer to like 23 to 25% target share with Jefferson out against the Bears this week, like, dude, he's been the most efficient Kirk Cousins target other than Justin Jefferson in Kirk Cousins' career.
Yeah, oh no, he's been definitely really good. I'm not 100% convinced that he's just gonna like fucking absolutely smash with like 11 darts this week. Like I think he's a good player, but he's still a young player. Like I'm not 100% ready to just throw it in that he's gonna be like a wide receiver 1 the whole time that Jefferson's out for.
And if it was like a Mike McCarthy OC or something,
just leave your finger on the thing, maybe.
Yeah, on here. Hopefully it doesn't screw me. If it was like a Mike McCarthy play caller at that point, you're like, okay, maybe I don't trust it. But because it's Kevin O'Connell, man, like we've seen McVay and Shanahan just pull these wide receivers, and like, if they're good enough, we'll just get targets.
Yeah. Also, I just want to take in and bask in the glory that it took Danny 1 week to go from Mike McCarthy's not a bad coach to saying he's a Mike McCarthy play caller as a meme.
I learned it against a good defense that he couldn't call a plan. I mean,
so I'm not trying to start an argument here, but like, didn't you already know that the Cowboys only beat up on bad teams? Like, that's been a trend for a while.
I mean, at least the offense looked efficient. At least the offense. At least the offense looked efficient. This past week, though, it was pretty clear that they had no threat to stretch the field. Like, it was plain and simple. Like, every single thing that was called was short.
But isn't that what you complained about Kellen Moore's offense?
No. I complained about Kellen Moore's offense for the exact reason.
Try leaving it at like a mid-level if you can. I don't know. Here, I'm putting you back in the back seat because it's just disrupting the whole thing right now. Casey says pick 3 PPR: DJ Moore, Addison, Kirk, Collins, London. So for me, I'm probably gonna roll with I'll probably go with the first 3 there, Casey, but that's close, man. I don't really want to sit Nico Collins, but the game environments of that Bears game, that Vikings game, and that Jaguars game are a little bit better for me. It would be Collins versus Kirk as the last decision there, but I would probably go with Christian Kirk there in full PPR. I've made big power moves, hella buy lows and hella sell highs. My roster is JT, Bijan, Pollard, Ridley, Cup, Chase, Lamar, 18. I mean, in an 8-team league, your team's definitely going to look stacked, but that's fucking crazy, dude. You probably should stop trading now at this point in time, unless you're going to keep getting, crazy values on players. Like if we get a big Ridley game and you can somehow get to like Diggs instead of Ridley, like keep going, but definitely don't mess her up here. Marquise Brown and James Conner too, and Pitts. Yeah, great job there. Maybe try and upgrade at tight end if Pitts is your tight end in an 8-team league. Maybe go after Andrews or something because you have Lamar. Nuke says need RB2 and a flex. I have Addison, Mostert, Walker, Zay Flowers, full PPR. Currently have DJ Moore as wide receiver 2. So for me, I'm going to go with Mostert probably as one of those. And then I'd probably go Walker as the other. It's full PPR. So that's really difficult because Addison, Danny was just talking about, he's a great play this week. I think I go with the guaranteed touches with the 2 running backs with Mostert and Walker, but that's really close. It would be between Mostert would be a locked and loaded start for me, but then Walker versus Addison would be the discussion there. In full PPR, it's really debatable, but I think Walker's going to be in for a good game this week. Cade says, what do we got here? Danny said restarting his PC. Cade says traded James Cook and Gabe Davis for Justin Jefferson and Rachaad White. 4-1 in a 12-man half PPR. Lamar, Bijan, Brees. Yeah, I mean, your team is already really loaded so far, and James Cook and Gabe Davis aren't going to be like integral parts of it. Rachaad White's still a solid option. Like I would make the argument that Rachaad White and James Cook, there's not like a massive difference between those guys. Like, yeah, the offenses that they play in are vastly different, but I would say like workload wise with Rachaad White's workload, you get pretty close there. Having Jefferson on the back burner for a couple of weeks is not going to kill you. And once he comes back, I mean, Bijan and Brees and Cup, Olave, Ridley, Andrews, Lamar, like you have positional advantages everywhere, especially once Jefferson's back. So trade for Devon Achane. It's tough, man, because Achane's going to be out till week 11 because the Dolphins have a bye in week 10. So he's out for 4 games plus the bye week in week 10. He's not going to be back till week 11. So I would say don't trade for Devon Achane unless you're 4-1 or 5-0 with a lot of depth on your roster. So, and also I would only be willing to give up like RB2 price tags, knowing that you're going to miss out on all that production. So the trade that, Brendan was just talking about, or who was just talking about this, whoever was just making the Jefferson trade, the trade that you're trying to do here, Cade, is giving up like James Cook and Gabe Davis type of assets. They're solid, but they're not like, backbreakers. Devon Achane also doesn't carry the same value as Justin Jefferson does. So you probably want to be giving up like wide receiver 3s and like, a low end running back 2, like Brian Robinson or something like that. D Bell says, I know Bush IRL. Just saying, guys. Yes, he does know me IRL. I'm actually going to watch the game with him and a couple of my other buddies at around 8:00 Eastern. So I'm not going to be on here for super, super long here. Juan says, I really want Mahomes. Guy that has him currently has Stevenson, Algier, and Gibson as his running backs. He also just lost Justin Jefferson. Would offering him Trevor Lawrence, Pacheco, and Puka or DK get it done? I think that's too much to give up for Mahomes, man. That's way too much to give up for Mahomes. Like, honest to God, dude, like the way Puka is performing, like Puka and Lawrence is all I'd be willing to give up for Mahomes. Like Puka's legitimately, if we redrafted today, probably a top 2 round pick. At the very least, like an early 3rd rounder. So if you're talking about where Mahomes would go, it would be like in the mid 2nd round. So Lawrence plus Puka should get you to Mahomes, but I would not throw Pacheco in on top of that. If you could do it for Lawrence, DK, and Pacheco, and then get Mahomes plus a solid piece back, I'd be willing to do that, but a little bit sketchy there. Saquon or Brees and Olave or Ridley rest of season. So Saquon versus Brees rest of season is probably neck and neck for me. I think I lean Saquon just given the injury and the offense that we're dealing with there in New York, but that's pretty close. And then Olave or Ridley rest of season, I slightly lean Ridley still because of the offense that he plays in. But they're pretty close also. Like both of those guys are back end wide receiver ones, high end wide receiver twos.
Is it Saquon for the 2?
No,
Is
I
that
think
what
he
I'm
means
getting from this?
Saquon or Brees and Olave or Ridley rest of the season is what I think he means.
Gotcha.
But if it's a trade, then I would prefer I think I'd probably prefer Saquon and Brees to Olave and Ridley just because they're like low end RB1s.
Yeah. No, I agree. If it does it again, I don't know.
Yeah, you can just sign off and I'll close her out, I guess. IDUP says 12 teams, start 10, super flex, Lamar, Watson, Goff, Keenan, Waddle, Garrett Wilson, London, McLaurin, JSN, Goddard. Running backs are Bijan, not much else. Lost Connor 3 and 2, 6 most points for. Would you go buy a running back or punt for 2024? So I'm assuming this is a dynasty league that you're referring to. Given
6 most points.
Yeah, 6th most points. You're probably stuck in limbo, to be honest, dude. Like, and
No.
if I were you, I would see what Keenan Allen can fetch me on the open market right now because he's in a really good spot. I mean, some of your guys just aren't performing, like London, JSN. Watson's not really performing right now, but you have a solid base to go off of. Waddle and Garrett Wilson also not really performing at the moment. I would maybe see what it costs you to see, like, if you can move off of Keenan Allen, maybe you can get a 2024 first and a young running back or something like that. And maybe just 1 year punt this thing, because I honestly, I think it would be a bit of an uphill climb for you to just suddenly like take over this league. Your guys would all have to like in sync start fucking trying to perform at the same time. And that's a little bit of a tall task. Yeah. Keenan Allen's really the only guy that's sun running right now for you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. By the way, I turned off auto adjust volume based on apps on my PC, so hopefully my mic just starts.
Okay, because that's never been an issue for me, so that's funny that that's come up for you before. So that must have been a PC thing there for you. So
yeah, okay.
David says start 2, Javonte, Roshan, Hubbard, and Jeff Wilson. Not a great question here. I would say Roshan, honestly, if I knew he was healthy, he would be the number 1 here, but I don't know if he's going to clear the protocol.
I would honestly say still
Jinxed
does it. Based off what we know now, you can't.
Do you have like Discord open or something? Maybe try closing that down. Maybe that's why it's doing it.
Yeah, I didn't, but I'll check it
Zoom,
just to make
Discord,
sure.
anything that has like microphones. Maybe that's why it's doing it. Anyways,
I only have 2 tabs open. Apologies for those watching right now, because like this is.
Anyways, Javonte would be my number 1 there, just because I know he's going to play and I think he'll be healthy in this game. Hubbard versus Roshan is probably the other conversation. You're kind of in a bad spot here. Jeff Wilson, I don't really want to throw into my lineup right away, to be honest.
I don't mind it, actually. Apparently, all reports right now are that he's looked healthy. He is expected to play this week, and obviously with the Devon A-Chain injury, like we know Miami's going to cycle back. So, like if Jeff Wilson is fully ready to go, like he should be able to get maybe not like 20 opportunities. That's very wishful thinking, but I can see 10 to 12 opportunities in the Miami's offense. He can bust any one of those ones.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it would probably be. This is like a gross question. I think I'd go Javonte and Roshan if he's healthy, and maybe Jeff Wilson if he's not. And if you get Miles Sanders banged up, maybe you go Hubbard over both of those guys. CD or Amon-Ra rest of the season, I would prefer Amon-Ra St. Brown personally.
I think I have Amon-Ra slightly higher, but like
I mean, I know you're going to probably have CD higher than me rest of the season, but I do have him. I have him at 9 rest of the season. So I think that's he's still a back end wide receiver 1, but given the lack of pass attempts that we're getting from the Cowboys right now and like the middling like pace of play that they're throwing up right now, and also too, like they're not like scoring on offense 30 points a game. Like they're scoring a lot on defense and that kind of stuff. So for me, I would probably say that CeeDee Lamb is limited to a low end wide receiver 1. I don't think he's probably going to reach the ceiling that I thought he could reach coming into the season.
I still think there's more untapped. I do think, the offense was very stale, and I do have, question marks about it. But at the same time, like the 49ers just always play the Cowboys well. So that's
fine. But if I told you this, like who has a higher ceiling rest of the season? Hill, Diggs, Chase, Kupp, Adams, St. Brown. Like they all have higher ceilings than CeeDee Lamb.
I have Lamb at 9 as well.
Right. So. And then like AJ Brown, I mean, given the strength of the offense of the Eagles, I think you could make the argument that he has a higher weekly ceiling, especially. And then Keenan Allen, with the way he's getting targets and that kind of thing, I have him higher than Lamb as well, which I'm kind of surprised that I'm saying that, given what we thought of these guys coming into the season.
So who do you have at 10 right now?
Jefferson.
Oh, right. I got to drop Jefferson.
Okay. Yeah. So Jefferson is the guy that I have at 10. Like, and he's also like, I just don't know what to do with him, right? Because he's injured. Like, I'm like, I don't know where the fuck to rank the guy.
I know we say this all the time. Oh, players just aren't going to sit out. Like he's one of the few where knowing the contractual demands, knowing that Jamar Chase, literally one of his best friends, sat out a full year in college. Like,
Well, and what are the Vikings going to be 2-6 when he comes back at best? Like they're going to be in a bad spot, man. And I know that's like a common narrative that everybody's throwing out
it's
there
real,
and
though.
shit. But like it might be a real concern for sure.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm not gonna reference my mic again, but
yeah, you're good. Just power through it. Realistic running back target. Oh, actually, hold on, I missed this one. Hey guys, traded B-Rob.
yes.
Brian Robinson Jr. for Olave. Thoughts, Jesus. Yeah, that's a fleece, dude.
Realistic RB target for Godwin Davis plus DeMarcado.
Okay, so this is a good question. If you guys, by the way, if you guys are ever curious, like, oh, who would you like, instead of sending us your whole roster and being like, who would you trade for? This is a much better way to phrase the question, because then we can get a legitimate understanding of like what tier of running back we're going after. So,
Dameon Pierce.
I think you should get a better running back than that.
Think
to
so?
be honest. Yeah, I think I would go after James Cook. Probably would be the guy that stands out to me.
I would be shocked if you could pull that off, but
okay. So if you can't get to James Cook, I think Dameon Pierce, Rashad White,
Aaron Jones
definitely makes some sense. Jahmyr Gibbs, if you're in a good spot record wise, maybe you could handle him. Not being the greatest for a couple of games. Who'd you say? Sorry,
I was gonna say like Aaron Jones, Pacheco. I know we talked about. Yeah, I mean, like James Cook is actually probably pretty realistic now.
I think James Cook isn't a bad option there. Like, I don't think it's outrageous. And like, I mean, best case scenario, you could somehow get to Jacobs or Swift or Walker or Breece Hall or something. But I doubt you'd be able to with these guys. So more realistically, I think like Rashad White, Dameon Pierce, maybe James Cook is what you're looking at there.
Yeah, I agree.
Dylan says, "What do I do with Shitter Gibbs? You should trade him to me." Is what you should do.
You're 4-2, Dylan. Just hold him. Hold him. You're not going to get any market value right now. You may as well hold him. He's going to be more beneficial to your own team.
Yeah, ideally, I lowball you and you give him to me. That would be what I would suggest.
Dude, he runs every single offer by me, so good luck.
yeah, no, I know. Rolando says start sit, and you're also higher on Gibbs than me, so there's like zero chance that I'm going to get Gibbs off of him. Start sit, Jordan Addison, James Cook, full PPR. I would probably take Addison, man.
Let me see. I have
good game script for Cook, though, man. They're going to play the Giants. They're like 14-point favorites. Like, it's a really good game script for James Cook.
Where do you have James Cook ranked this week, though?
I think, let me go back to my weekly rankings. I think I have James Cook right now at 16.
Him or Kyron?
But I do have Jonathan Taylor ahead of him, which might not be a consensus take. So he'd be 15 probably or like in the top 15 for most people.
So it's funny because I also have him at 16. But I have what's called Kyron over him, and I have
Kyron over him too.
Behind. I have Pacheco over him.
I have Breece behind him. That's probably who you don't have.
Breece.
Because Breece has the Eagles and the Jets lost Vera Tucker. I'm kind of worried that it's going to be like a 16 carry, 21 yards type of day for Breece Hall.
Yeah. No, that's fair, but at the same time, he's getting the opportunity share now. He's the type of talent that can bust open a free run. Oddly enough, I know this was a decision point between Jacob Sanderson, Liam Murphy, and Ron Stewart on Twitter. Because for their FFPC team, who would you sit between Breece Hall and Brandon Ayuk? Because I think I would sit
Breece Hall.
I would start Breece.
I would definitely. I think I would sit him for sure. I feel a lot more comfortable. The reason is because I feel way more comfortable in the 49ers to outdo a bad matchup than I do the Jets to outdo a bad matchup. And the Eagles offensive line versus the Jets, the Eagles defensive line versus the Jets offensive line, I would argue is a bigger matchup discrepancy than how good the Browns pass defense is versus the 49ers passing offense.
Yeah, no, it is fair. It's fair. I will say, though, the running back getting the workload.
I'm starting Javonte in one league and Jerry Jeudy, so I'm not really excited about
that. Oh, right. My lineup. I mean, I guess we're getting off a little bit early today because you're going to St. Louis. So
yeah, I mean, you can stay on longer if you want, but you're also dealing with Mike's apocalypse right now. So
trust me, I would. But this Mike thing is really grinding my gears right now, to be honest.
Yeah, remind me. I'll order you the audio interface that I have so that we can get you with because this. I mean, your mic changes volume sometimes all the time. But dude, Logan left a 199 super sticker. If you want to go look for that, is it doing it again? Yeah, if you want to go look for that super sticker that he put, I'll let you pull that up. I'll answer Carlos's question here first. He says 10 10-team full PPR. Kittle for Cook and Lockett. I have Andrews. I'm assuming that means you have. Sorry, Kittle for Cook and Lockett. I mean, you have Kittle on your roster and you already have Andrews. I'm assuming what he means.
Sell him.
Yeah, James Cook and Tyler Lockett's a good return, assuming that's not Dalvin Cook.
Yeah.
Definitely don't do it if it's Dalvin Cook. But if it's James Cook, I think that's a pretty good return for Kittle.
Yeah.
Although I probably would rather swap him 1-for-1 for a better asset. I think that's a pretty solid return.
Yep. By the way, listener league, I might have to start a gross running back this week if Roshan's unavailable.
Yeah, same with me in one of my leagues as well.
Hey guys, would you trade Lamb for JT and Lockett in 12-team half PPR? I mean, yeah.
JT, I probably would, to be honest.
I would say JT's not too far off of Lamb rest of season.
Dude, JT is my RB4 rest of season.
He's, I think, my RB5. So that, I mean, I'm going to be working through those, by the way. Those will be updated fully soon. I'm still on the tab on them on Fantasy Pros, and then once those are done, I'll get them inputted. But like, I'm struggling through some of these running backs, man. Like, there's such close projections, especially in that top tier, man. Like, when you're talking JT versus, I think I would have him right after Pollard and ETN. But like,
I would rather have JT over Pollard, no questions asked, I think.
But like, that's
it's like a projection because he hasn't done it yet. But I'm assuming he's going to get back to his full workload, and I would comfortably take Jonathan Taylor over Pollard if that happens.
I mean, it's fair. With Pollard right now, it's basically you're banking in him playing better. And with JT, it's like if he's healthy, like he's probably going to get the workload. So I would say both kind of have their own question marks right now.
Yeah, that's fair. And just real quick, because it's back to Dylan's, the trade that he made, right? Where he traded away CeeDee Lamb and Isaiah Pacheco for Jahmyr Gibbs and Austin Eckler. Yeah. That was the trade that he ended up making. He's all nervous about it because Pacheco's like cooking like a league winner ever since he traded him away. And he probably will again tonight, to be honest. He's probably going to have a good game tonight. But
I'm not worried.
I still think that works out for you in the long run, dude. Austin Eckler, like, had Austin Eckler not gotten hurt, we might be talking about Austin Eckler in the same vein as Christian McCaffrey right now.
Dude, he's averaging like 26 points per game before he went down now.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was one game, but like, he could be dominant, especially with Mike Williams out.
I mean, yeah, that's fair. I forgot he only played one game.
Lewis says Rice or Cooper. I mean, I'm not starting Rashee Rice over Amari Cooper, even with Watson out. PJ Walker is a much better quarterback than Dorian Thompson-Robinson, much better. So that's going to be, honestly, I don't even think it's going to be all that different than Deshaun Watson playing. That might be a hot take, but the Browns' offense might function virtually the same with PJ Walker as they did with Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm being too harsh on Watson, but I don't know.
It's tough, man. Like, I probably need PJ Walker out there because at least PJ Walker showed he can.
Well, he's going to start. They already said he was going to start.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, like, if we need like PJ Walker from last year where he actually looked decent out there.
Well, he looked really good for Carolina, and
that's what I mean.
DJ Moore started to turn the corner once he took over as the quarterback there.
Where do you have Cooper ranked this week with Watson out?
So I got to adjust him now that Watson's been rolled out. He was like barely a top 30 receiver for me before that. To be honest.
I have him down there assuming Watson was out, dude. He would be closer to 20 if he was healthy, if Watson was there.
Yeah, I mean, there was better options in my opinion. So I have Cooper right now. Like, I would start Drake London over Amari Cooper right now, to be honest. And I have Cooper at 36 at the moment.
I'll make you a Cooper versus London bet, and I like London.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 49ers defense. It's PJ Walker. I'm just a little bit nervous, but I think this week specifically, also that game is a 37 point total right now, and the Sharps are hammering the under on it as well.
Yeah. The thing with Cooper that keeps getting back to me though is the fact that he has 31 targets in his 4 games, and he was banged up in the first 2.
Yeah,
he was banged up, and he has still been able to command like a number 1 level target share.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
Also,
Javonte starter worthy. I mean, so right now in my rankings, I have Javonte Williams. I'll let you guys know where I have him because it's not high. So I would say no, he's not starter worthy unless you're screwed.
RB28.
I am at 30. So like I'm not really wanting to start, but I do have Roschon at 20. So if Roschon doesn't play, he'd be inside my top 30. I'm not really willing to play Javonte Williams coming off of an injury unless you're like screwed.
Javonte or Amari DiMarcardo?
Oh, I have DiMarcardo higher.
Same. Javonte or Justice Hill?
I have Justice Hill at 28.
That like I have Justice Hill at 29 right behind him.
I have Jerome Ford one spot higher than Javonte Williams, and he doesn't even have his quarterback, and he's playing the 49ers.
What about Chuba Hubbard, bro?
So if Miles Sanders was ruled out
Yeah.
or was limited again, I would actually, if he was just limited again, but again, we're not going to know that because Javonte plays tonight. But I would say Chuba Hubbard versus Javonte Williams. If you told me that Sanders was at least going to be limited, I would play Chuba Hubbard over him.
Yeah, and that's kind of the hedge I have right now. Chuba's my 31, but if we knew tomorrow that Chuba Hubbard was going to be the starting running back, if we knew before kickoff that Chuba Hubbard would be the starting running back, there'd be a pretty big gap. Like I probably would have Chuba,
Yeah.
honest to God.
Sanders missed practice again today, by the way, with a shoulder injury too, which is not even the injury he was dealing with before. It was a hip injury or groin injury that he was dealing with before.
Would you rather have Chuba? Assuming Chuba was a starter, and if it does that one more time, I'm just gonna head off. Assuming Chuba is the starter, where would you have him in that tier? Would you rather him or Dameon Pierce
this week?
Yeah, assuming Chuba is the starter.
I have Dameon Pierce at 20. So Dameon Pierce is like way higher for me, but I think Chuba, I would rather start Chuba than Brian Robinson, who I have at 21.
Yeah, I have Brian Robinson at 19, Dameon Pierce at 21. Like realistically, he would be right in that tier with those two guys, with Madison, with Joe Mixon. That's about where he would be, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's tough, man. The thing that I keep laughing at is everybody's arguing on Twitter about how bad the Jahmyr Gibbs pick was. Paying Miles Sanders was a much worse move.
Oh, by far.
Then drafting, I will take a top 12 running back who's at least young and exciting and explosive over a 26-year-old who had one good season behind the best offense and offensive line in football, who had an injury history prior to that year.
However, I understand it was a culture thing, which is why DeAndre Swift got shipped out. But at the same time, could you imagine Montgomery?
Why do you just not? You sign David Montgomery, trade DeAndre Swift anyway, and draft Deuce Vaughn in the fucking 5th round.
Deuce has been awful this year. He
has been, but like, how much? Like the wins over replacement of having
I agree.
Carter and Deuce Vaughn versus Jahmyr Gibbs.
I agree, but why not just keep DeAndre Swift, who you shifted for a 4th and a 6th, have that as your backfield, because Montgomery's
or draft Tajay Spears in the 3rd round. Tajay Spears has been better than Jahmyr Gibbs on a per touch basis.
Or Devon Achane in the 3rd round.
Yeah, literally, dude. They could have drafted Tajay Spears or Devon Achane in the 3rd round, drafted Jalen Carter in the top 10, and not spent a top 12 pick on a running back. And also the Panthers, like, why the fuck did you pay Miles Sanders? It was so stupid.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, at least Detroit might get one of those Michigan great defensive linemen next year, like Chris Jenkins.
What do you mean? They're not picking high.
No, he's gonna be a back end first.
Okay, yeah. I mean,
Chris Jenkins is good, man.
I mean, Hutchinson's looking like an all-pro defensive lineman this year.
He's also good. It's funny because somebody went through the parallels of like the roster construction of the Lions versus like the 49ers. And you think like, game manager, rhythm quarterback, and a good system. You mentioned, a good run scheme, which is what Detroit has. You mentioned
I've literally comped Brock Purdy to Jared Goff multiple times also.
Well, even like the weapons, like you got your dude all tight end, you got your number 1 wide receiver. I would say, obviously, of course, San Francisco would have a 2nd wide receiver that you would take there, the yak guy with Debo. But then you look at even on defense, you got a big time, edge rusher from the Big Ten who's just been dominant. Like it's pretty insane, like just how parallel wise, like they're very, very in sync, if you would say.
Yeah, playmaker Brian Branch is like kind of their Ufunga or whatever. Yeah. They're hoping Jack Campbell can be 10% the player that Fred Warner is. Obviously, Fred Warner might be the best linebacker I've seen in like years.
Dude, if he retired in the next 3 years, like he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, he's been so good since he's come into the league, and he's like so good in coverage, which is so fucking rare for linebackers. Like it's pretty insane. Wong Tong Shum says, "Would you trade Sun God for Eckler?"
I would. If you need,
I think I would too. I mean, high-end RB production is more like as great as Amon-Ra St. Brown is. High-end running back production, running back 1 production, like Austin Eckler should give you, is irreplaceable in fantasy. There's like almost no price that you can pay that's too much. And I honestly think like it's sketchy because Eckler is injured, but Amon-Ra's injured right now too. And Eckler is legitimately the type of guy that could absolutely run you to a championship for sure. Pun intended for the Sun God here. He also says start Javonte, or if I get Pierce or Gibbs. Dameon Pierce is on waivers right now in your league.
What? Maybe Alec Pierce. Like Gibbs is on waivers too.
Damian. Well, I mean, he says Gibbs is on waivers too.
Go get both of them. I would
honestly, dude, I would drop Javonte for Jahmyr Gibbs or Dameon Pierce. Like if he was like your worst option, like I would be willing to do that. But yeah, Pierce and Gibbs need to be on your roster. Like drop whatever backup quarterback, tight end, low end wide receivers that you have, because both of those guys need to be rostered by you.
Yep, and real quickly, I want to address this because Brock says this in the comments. Warner is actually like Kuechly Wagner level, which I don't disagree, man. Like, because obviously, those guys from a run perspective, like Kuechly and Warner, like in their prime, obviously, like they're like the typical sideline to sideline linebackers, which Warner is. But what makes Warner so special is just how intelligent he is in coverage. Like, this wasn't a guy coming out who had like elite range, like in terms of like his peripherals, like. I only think he ran like a 4.55. It wasn't like he's this 4.3 athlete.
He's got a lot of range, like wingspan wise. Like he's built like that.
But you would assume like, oh, he only ran like a 4.55, and his agilities were kind of like okay, but
really
like
good time for a linebacker though.
Great, yeah, don't get me wrong, but like Michael Parsons ran like a 4.36. Like you would think
he's also
for how.
nature.
What I'm trying to say is, you would think for how good Warner is in coverage that he would have like Micah Parsons traits. But like, it's just because he's so intelligent and knows exactly what's going on the other end. Like, dude, like the way he broke up that mesh on third down against the Cowboys and then still ends up sacking Dak. Like, he's the only linebacker in the NFL that can make that play. Like, the only linebacker in the NFL that can jump a mesh, keep Dak rolled out, and then fucking make the sack. And my mic, I got to get off, boys. I'm sorry. Like, this is gonna make me.
Yeah, no, I'll get you situated here for sure. We'll get the tech guys. Andrew's saying we got any tech guys in chat, but anyways, yeah, I agree. And don't get me started on the whole Kuechly and Wagner thing, because Levante David's got better numbers across the board than both of them.
Yeah,
let's see what do we got here. I actually probably need to head out of here in a second because I am going out to watch the game. I'll answer a couple more questions. What's up?
I would do it solo, but
yeah, we'll sign you off here. Anyways, I'll answer a couple more questions here, fellas, and then we'll sign off here. It looks like we got a couple more supers. Carlos says Devontae Smith or DK Metcalf rest of season feel better, Danny. Carlos is treating this like an illness at the moment, which is hilarious. I mean, he was sick before this, but yeah, I read that as an illness, which I thought was funny. So Anton asked a question here as a super sticker. I gotta find the question. Anton, where is your question? I'm looking for it right now. Anton says, start Mahomes with the weather. Is it supposed to be bad weather tonight? I didn't even notice that weather was an issue. But either way, I mean, unless it's going to be torrential, like rain or something, I would still start Patrick Mahomes regardless. So that's where I'm at. Anyways, I'm gonna head off of here, fellas, because I'm going to watch the game at a bar, like I said. But as always, if you guys need our weekly rankings, rest of season rankings, check that out. Link down below in the description. Enjoy the game. Peace out. Talk to you soon.